It was just a white, frozen world. No tracks, no cars, no red lights, nothing. And I knew right then that I was done. We'd spent the whole winter without any snow, just cold weather. And to wake up in the morning and see this blanket of white, fallen, fluffy snow was awesome. I mean, the first thing I thought is, oh, we get to go snowmobiling today, you know?
We are fortunate because we live on the frozen river, and there's snowmobiling and ice fishing, and we took off right from our homes and went up the river.
It's very common to ride on a river in Wisconsin. A lot of the trails are on the rivers.
When we got to the trail system, we found out that there nothing was marked. And since it's in a remote wooded area, it's really hard to find your way around. So we decided to go back to the river because it's a lot easier to navigate that way.
So I took off, and a couple seconds, I was out into the middle of this river, and the whole river just exploded.
I saw his sled turn on the side and go straight down, and I saw him in the water fighting to stay afloat. I immediately got off and ran to his position on that side of the shoreline where I could be parallel with him. I yelled his name, and I screamed as loud as I could scream. But I knew somehow that he couldn't hear me.
I thought, you know, there's only 15 minutes. I'm gonna get hypothermia, and I'm gonna die if I don't get out of here. So what I did was, almost immediately, I looked at the sky, and I could see the two treetops off in the distance, and they maybe were 100, 200 yards away. I took off kind of in a backstroke, throwing both of my arms over my head at the same time because I couldn't lean forward. I couldn't breathe leaning forward. I had to go backwards.
He just was doing everything he could to break the ice to try to go the direction he was started, which was the wrong way. He just continued to go further out into the river. I thought I better get on my machine and head south to where I thought was good ice, get across the river and get to that house to get help. Just as I thought to myself, you know, you should probably pick up your speed, the river took me too. My machine sank, and I was struggling for my life. As every minute passed and I was fighting to bust my way to shore, it felt like I had moved like 50 yards, and I turned around and I saw where I had gone in and the small track I had made towards shore, and it was like 15 to 20 feet. It came to a point where I didn't think I was going to make it because I was really getting cold. And I took my helmet off and I threw it towards shore in an attempt to say, you know, this is where I went in. I said, if they find my helmet, then they'll know where to start looking for us. Took off my gloves and I started kicking off my boots because I thought I had to lighten myself to get up on the ice. And that's when I saw my wedding ring on my left hand shining. You know, my hand was up on the ice, and everything just started swimming over me and emotional. My kids, my 4 children, my wife. I switched to that survival mode at that point and just said, I have to get out. I finally got up far enough on the ice where I could shimmy my way up onto the ice, and I did get out of the water, finally. And I laid there on the ice and I just started to cry because I had no boots, I had bare feet. I was just real cold. I couldn't feel my hand or my legs below my knees and my arms below my elbows. Nothing was really working. And I laid on the ice and I just cried and said, What am I gonna do? At that point, the guilt came over me again, saying, you're safe, you need to save your brother. And I got up and I started hobbling back towards where my brother had gone in.
I thought I heard my brother calling for me, but I just couldn't see him, and I didn't really know if I was hearing him. I didn't know. It's like, is this a fairy tale? Is he really there? Am I, are you gonna survive this?
I started inching my way out on the ice on my hands and knees. The ice groaned and creaked under me and cracked. So I laid down on my belly and I started inching my way out on the ice, and I got halfway across the ice, and the ice was just so thin, I could see the water under it. I froze. Halfway across, I just froze in fear.
The cold was getting so deep into my body, and my ribs wouldn't expand. The next moment I really remember is being under the surface of the water and looking up, and everything was blurry and my helmet was full of water. And I don't know how I got down there, but I was at the bottom of the river. It's like 12 feet deep there. And I saw the surface and I swam up for it. When I came up and I saw the tree and I started busting the ice again, and it hurt so bad. And I remember looking at the tree and following it down to the base with my mouth underwater, and seeing there was nobody there. It was just a white, frozen world. No tracks, no cars, no red lights, nothing. And I knew right then that I was done.
I had gone another 50 yards or so, and then I broke through again. And I was probably 25 yards from shore. And I worked my way to where I could get up on the ice again and got out. And I started running, and it was more of a shuffle through the snow with my bare feet, and I was throwing up. When I got to the house, I told him to dial 911 that my brother had died in the river. He's been in the water an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and a half, and there's no way he's still alive. I just took off running again towards where my brother's last position, where I knew where he was. I couldn't see any of his body. I thought it was just his helmet. I thought he had got his helmet off and then he had sunk or something. And I started inching my way out to where my brother's helmet was. Then I saw his hand moving just below the water surface, and I said, oh my God, he's still alive.
My throat was frozen, my ribs were frozen. I was breathing with my stomach muscles right when I was gonna quit, right when I tried to reach my hand up and touch the ice and it snapped off. And that's right when my brother said, hang on, Dave, I'm coming. And, I couldn't believe it, that he was actually, he was coming. The next thing I remember is my brother grabbing me by the chin, of my helmet, and yanking me out of the river and saying, Dave, I love you so much. Hang on.
At the same time, I heard the ambulance coming. I could hear it off in the distance coming down the road.
It's the most beautiful thing. My brother could go through what he went through and pull me out of there. If I didn't think he was coming to save me, I never would have paddled as hard as I did for as long as I did. I knew I had to give him time. I knew he would do it.
He was in an incredible shape, and I think that helped him. And not only that, his drive to live. It's just a love for your family. I love my brother, and You can't imagine the horror of watching a loved one die slowly in front of you. It was very humbling, and it was scary, but it's the instinct you have for family to do what you have to do to make sure that they survive.